Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I'm sure you guys have seen those shirts during Christmas, right? Where people have photoshopped graphic designs of Donald Trump as Santa Claus. Mark Dice sells a whole set. I think he calls it the Trump Claus set. I believe that's what he calls it, but anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. Of course, it's just a funny meme. It's a merch set, but I think, it might go a little bit deeper than that. Donald Trump, in a way, is kind of like Santa Claus. He's like the political version of Santa Claus. He keeps giving us all of these incredible gifts, and I gotta tell you, this new press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, well, she's a real gift now, isn't she? Oh, what a breath of fresh air. I mean, the contrast is just incredible.
Flashback.
I am obviously acutely aware that my presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a Black, gay, immigrant woman, the first of all three of those to hold this position.
End of flashback.
It's an honor to be here with all of you. A lot of familiar faces in the room, a lot of new faces. And President Trump is back, and the golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Finally, we have a real press secretary, and she is just on fire. It's only been a couple days since her job officially started, and it's just viral takedown after viral takedown. And let me show you guys the latest takedown. As Caroline Leavitt takes on Michael Strahan, we got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright guys, so I don't know how Caroline Leavitt managed to keep a straight face in this interview, because she just got asked probably one of the dumbest questions of all time. Michael Strahan tried to get her with a loaded question about Donald Trump's mandate for federal workers returning to the office, and well, he got absolutely destroyed. Take a look at this.
But is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment, and that's what this administration expects, and I think that's what American taxpayers expect. Don't forget, it's the American people who are funding this government, and they deserve people who are actually showing up to work on their behalf.
I don't know what these networks are thinking. It's probably time to do a little bit of a roster swap, because there's obviously a severe talent discrepancy. Why is Michael Strahan trying to take on Caroline Leavitt? It's like watching Michael Jordan in his prime taking on Rosie O'Donnell in a 1v1 basketball match. Michael Strahan is not even a real journalist. He's a former NFL player. And look, nobody's saying that you can't switch careers, and nobody's saying just because you're a football player that you aren't well-read or capable, but obviously this guy ain't it. And if you're going to try to debate Trump's press secretary on federal government policy, well, maybe you should have, the slightest clue about what you're talking about. Nope, but there's no standards anymore in the media. Instead, we get Strahan showing up totally unprepared, almost as if he Googled remote work benefits like 5 minutes before the segment. He clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just sitting there regurgitating whatever script was handed to him, making this weak argument as if remote work is necessary to attract the top talent. And her response was just perfect. Actually, doctors have to show up to work. I mean, how do you even respond to that? It's basically over right there. Instantly, he's caught like a deer in the headlights, realizing how dumb he sounded just 15 seconds ago. There's all kinds of top talent workers and people who show up to work every single day. Work from home is not a necessary benefit required to pull in top talent. But honestly, that's not even the main point of this new policy. It's the second part of Caroline's answer that actually gets to the important part. This is the most important point. Caroline goes on to say that American taxpayers deserve to have workers that are actually working. And she's absolutely right. This is where the left just instantly loses the argument. And really take Donald Trump, for instance, because he, in my view, is really setting the standard. The man doesn't even take his salary, but he shows up to work every single day and works overtime. He doesn't stop working. I think we need more people like that, maybe not to that extent because it's not sustainable for most people. But if you're going to work in government, if you're going to serve the people, you got to actually work. But instead, what do you got? What have the Democrats enabled? Instead, you get bureaucrats sitting in their pajamas in some DC suburb, collecting six-figure salaries while barely logged into their laptops. It's a total scam. And we all know it's a scam. I mean, come on. This whole remote work thing. In a lot of cases, it works. Depending on the industry, depending on the field, remote work has proven to be effective and it's helped a lot of companies reduce their costs. But in the public sector, it's just unacceptable. And also, let's not be naive here. I mean, let's not put our blinders on. I know a lot of friends who work from home, and I'll tell you, a good chunk of them are barely working. It's a system that is rife with abuse. I know some people who collect six-figure salaries and they work like 3 hours a week. They're being paid for 40, they're really only doing 3 hours of work. They show up for the meetings, and then outside of the meeting, they're just lounging around, watching TV, playing video games, cooking up meals. Let's not kid ourselves. It's obviously a problem, and you would think that that problem would be a whole lot worse in a public bureaucratic system. There's already no checks and balances in government. There's already all kinds of waste. There's already very little standards when it comes to actual productivity and performance because, well, the profit incentive is not there. And so obviously there's going to be abuse, widespread abuse, just like there was abuse of the stimulus checks, just like there's abuse of EBT and welfare programs. I mean, as a kid, I grew up playing World of Warcraft every single day, and I can't tell you the amount of adults that I met on that game that I raided with in guilds who were totally open about the scam that they were running. I collect disability checks and then just play World of Warcraft all day. Well, do you have an actual disability? Not really, kind of. The system is full of abuse, and it should not be tolerated by the taxpayers. If you are headed to Washington, if you work as a bureaucrat serving the people, you have to serve the people. You have to show up to work. And really, it's time to get serious about this stuff. Look at the deficit. It continues to balloon year after year after year. It's been decades. It's headed towards $40 trillion. The reckless and wasteful spending has to come to an end, and this is just part of the process. And the Trump administration is sending a very clear message. If you're thinking that you're just going to collect a paycheck on the backs of the American people and not actually provide any value, well, that's no longer going to be tolerated. The Trump administration is taking these issues seriously, and they're going after all the wasteful spending, and really some of the stuff that they're finding is just totally insane.
You are receiving individual assistance from the federal government. You will still continue to receive that. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. DOJ and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money.
We also blocked $45 million for diversity scholarships in Burma. 45, that's a lot of money for diversity scholarships in Burma. You can imagine where that money went. These were the types of payments and many others. I could stand here all day and tell you things that we found, and we have to find them quickly because we want the money to flow to proper places.
DEI programs in Burma and condoms for Hamas. I mean, just insane stuff. And by the way, the whole condoms for Hamas thing actually goes pretty deep. Apparently, they're being used to make these makeshift IED explosives. It's time to get with the program. The times have changed. The people are done with bloated, useless government workers living like royalty while the American taxpayer foots the bill. People are done with the waste. They want to see good financial management, responsible financial management, and the Trump administration seems to be focused on doing exactly that. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.